Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to our platform shooter part 16. In this video, we're going to be just kind of cleaning up, I guess, some of the game design. We're going to talk a little bit about game design, and then we're also going to add, we're going to attempt to add a menu, kind of like I guess a title screen. It'll be pretty simple at first, but we can start with that. Let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is, I've noticed that as we're playing the game, and I think this is important to talk about, the game that we've made versus the game that I kind of envisioned in my head when I first started this, they're kind of different games. And I feel like the biggest reason that they're different is because of the artificial intelligence. The enemy is... It works a little bit differently than maybe how I envisioned this game would work. And because I was kind of basing this off of the older Mario games where you can kind of warp on the sides and enemies kind of come out of these holes right here and you have to deal with them. And the game doesn't really feel like it lends itself. The gameplay doesn't lend itself to that type of game. So because of that, what I'm thinking is, I'm actually going to remove these right here. I feel like we're going to kind of change the game that we're making to fit the gameplay that we currently have a little bit. And I think that's an important thing to do when you're working on video games, is to learn to realize when the gameplay that you currently have doesn't really suit the type of game that you're making, and make adjustments. You would either adjust your gameplay, which would be, if we wanted to make it more like the Mario game, then maybe we would only allow shooting in one direction, not in every direction. And changing that alone, only letting the player shoot the direction they're facing, could actually make the game work better for more of like maybe a Super Crate Box or a Mario, kind of that type of game. But since we have shooting in every direction and our enemies can move kind of at us from every direction, it doesn't make quite as much sense. So I'm going to remove that top layer right there, and then I'm going to come into our enemy spawner, actually. Right here. Let's get rid of this. And instead of just creating enemies at our current position, we're going to create them with a random range, and we'll do 0 room width. So that will create our enemies from basically anywhere from the left of the left corner of our game window to the right corner of our game window, and it'll create them randomly. And then I'm going to do it with the room height as well a little bit here, so I'll do random range. And then I'm going to do like -32 and... Well, I'm actually not sure. We might want to do farther back. -64, -32, I guess. Okay. So now it doesn't actually matter where the spawner object is in the room. So if we come back to the room, it doesn't really matter that it's right here. We could come put it clear over here now by the game object. And that's because it's going to create them randomly kind of in a box right here. And I think that's going to help a little bit with the way the game plays. It's not going to feel like all the enemies come from a single direction. They're going to kind of come from different areas of the world. And I think that really kind of improves the way the game plays a little bit, because the enemies don't all funnel from one area where you can just shoot right there the whole time. They kind of come from different places, and it just makes more sense when you can aim in any direction and all your enemies come from the same direction. Why do you need to aim in any direction? Can you see the question there in the game development side of things? There's really no need to have to be able to aim in any direction if your enemies all funnel through a single area. You really only need to aim in that one direction the whole time. And so it eliminates the choice. The choice is aiming in any direction. You give the player that choice, but then at the same time, you kind of take that choice away by making all the enemies come from the very same place. Because then there's really no reason to aim in any other direction. Why wouldn't you just aim in that single direction the whole time? And so that's an important thing that you should pay attention to when you're making your games, is when you give the player a choice, make sure that the rest of the game complements that choice. And so making the enemies come from different locations can really encourage the player to aim in different areas and make that choice. Where are they going to aim? Okay, now that we've done that, let's start creating our menu. So we're going to come into resources. I looked it up and we can have up to 15 game objects, and currently we have 10. So we can only have 5 more game objects in the trial version of GameMaker Studio. And probably that's going to be the limiting factor on this tutorial series. I'm probably, as we get closer to the resource limit, I'm going to probably have to stop making this series. But I feel like it's been a pretty good start for getting people who haven't ever used GameMaker Studio before. They can low commitment try this series and not have to purchase it until they've tried it and see if they like it. So let's create a new room, and I'm just going to name this room_menu, and we'll put it right here before our room 1. And room 1, let's look at room 1 real quick. We've got a width of 640 and a height of 360. We want that to be consistent with our menu room, so we'll do width 640, height 360. There we go. We've got our menu room now. And background, cool. Instances layer, cool. If we run our game, GameMaker automatically goes to the very first room that you can see. So you can see it goes to this room. If we put room 1 first, if we drag it up and put it first, then we're going to go to our battle room instead of the menu room. So let's actually rename this room battle to instead of room 1. There we go. And we'll drag our menu back up again. We want our menu to have, we don't need it to be persistent. That's not what I was trying to do. Let's get rid of some of this right here. I've got too much stuff showing. Okay. Okay, so we've got come into enable viewports right here and view ports and cameras. View port 0, we want it to be visible. We'll set the width to 640, the height to 360. And I'm pretty sure I set the port settings to 1280 and 720. And that's what allows us to scale our camera or our game window. And that's the same, basically the same that we did on the battle room, I think. Let's check and make sure. I'm going to run the battle room. Is it scaled up? Yes, it is. Okay. So now that we have our menu room, we can create a start button. And this can be pretty simple. It doesn't have to be super complicated. I'm actually going to use, you know what, we should use the auto tile. I bet I could use this to make an interesting start button. I don't know. For now, I'm just going to create a new sprite. And we'll name this start button. And we're going to change the width and height on this. I think I'll do a width of like 128 and a height of, no, we don't want it to maintain, and a height, maybe a 48 height. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that looks like a pretty good start button. Let's come into it, and I'm going to select, and I'll have this resource in the description as well with the download links that I always provide, so you guys don't have to actually draw this if you don't want to. You can just copy it. Let's do a white. I want it to be an outline. Rectangle tool, field shift R. What? Oh, that's like the shortcut to get it. But we only have filled rectangle tools. I still don't know how to use the GameMaker Studio 2. Okay, I'm gonna do kind of a white outline of 2 like that. Let's give it an interesting purple color. Since our game's all kind of purple and blue. I guess that's more blue than it is purple. And then let's do some text here. We're gonna say start game. What the heck is going on with this text? Holy cow. It looks so terrible. What can I do about it? Like, wow, that text looks bad. Where do I edit the text here? Images. Let's see. There's got to be some way to change what the font looks like. You know what? Let's stick with what I know. I have no clue what's going on right here. So I'm going to open paint.net. Do new. Okay. Wait. No. We need 128 by 48. There we go. Let's come in here. And we've already got it starting white. So let's do like our purple color now. And we'll come. There we go. Okay. I might want to darken that a little bit. Let's shift a little towards blue. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to do my text. We'll switch this to white here and we'll say start game. And I don't really want it to be smooth. I want it to be more pixel art. Sharp classic. There we go. Bold. Make it bold. There we go. That's what I want it to look like. Okay. So file. Actually, I don't need to save this. I can probably just copy it. Let's try. Alt A, Control C, come back into GameMaker Studio 2. And no, it's not going to let me do that. That's okay. We'll just save it real fast. File, save as. I'll save it to my desktop. This is not very fancy looking, I know. That's okay. We're just getting it functional right now. And we'll come into our start button. Import right here. Okay. There we go. And I don't think we'll need to center it. Come to our menu. We can create an object for this now. Come into objects, create object start button, choose a sprite, and we're gonna give it a left pressed event. It should all be pretty easy. Add event, mouse, left pressed, and then all we need to write is room go to room battle. That's it. Come into our menu and bring in the start game button. Put it right there. It looks centered to me. And run the game. Now we should be able to start the game by clicking our start game button. And there we go. Cool. It doesn't look too bad either. It's not super fancy. Let's make it look a little bit better. I'm going to show you some tricks for, how you can sometimes make buttons look nicer. So one trick is to select the rectangle tool, select white, and then come into your color here and set your alpha value really low. Like, I don't know. I might have to experiment with different alpha values. Well, let's say we set the alpha value to 30. Press OK. And then you can just draw on top of this like this and go maybe about halfway down. And it creates like a nice, I don't know, kind of glare on the button. You could, if you want to, you could do like one here at the bottom too, like this, to add a little bit more design to it. So that's kind of a cool trick right there. The other cool trick is to copy and paste this. So you've got two of them. And then for the first one, you darken it a little bit. So let's say instead of white, we actually get a purple color that's really light, like this. And I can fill these in with that. And then we actually darken this one too. And maybe you go a little towards blue. So we darken this color, and then we darken this color just a tad. That's too much. It darkened it too much. Let's do 45. Holy cow, it got darker. Okay, let's try this again. So we'll go to 50. Just see what that looks like. See, that's too dark. I can't seem to get it the right value. Try 55 maybe. Yeah, that's gonna have to do. Okay, so now we have two images. We've got one that's a darker image and one that's a lighter image like this. And I'm missing a few here, I can see. Make sure I get these. Oops. There we go. One that's darker, one that's lighter. Then what you can do is come into your button like this, and in your create event, you set the image speed equal to 0, because we don't want it to animate. So we'll set the image speed equal to 0. Then what you can do is you can actually add a step event. Well, we can use the mouse enter actually. So we'll use these just because they're kind of neat to know about. We'll use the mouse enter event, and we'll say image index equals 1. So that will be this one right here. So when the mouse enters this object, we're going to light it up. Then we can add another one, mouse leave, and you just say image index equals 0, like that. Then when you run the game, if you hover over the button, it should highlight and go dark. So that looks really good. Start the game. Let's add, while we're at it, we might as well add an exit button. So let's do that, just because we'll probably want one of those. So we'll come into, oh, come on. There we go. We'll come into here. And what I'm actually going to do is create a new layer and just add the text here that says quit game. Like this. Move it over just a tad. And then I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to actually, I spelled it wrong. Try that again. Okay. Quit game. That should be pretty good. Then I'm going to take our dark color here. Get rid of that right there. File. What I really would like to do is take this right here and paste it into into this. So let's duplicate this. So we'll duplicate this and we'll press F2 to rename it. S quit button. And then we'll come into that sprite. And really, all we need to do, let's get this. I really wish I could paste this into here, but that's okay. We'll work with what we've got. I think we can paste into paint.net, so that's what I'm going to do instead. So I'll copy this, Control C, come into paint.net. Come on, there we go. And come into the background. Paste. Nope, it's not going to let us paste it. It's very interesting that this editor right here doesn't allow pasting to different editors. The older ones seem to do that. So anyways, the best solution here is just to export as a PNG, save it to the desktop, come back into paint.net, and we'll open a file. Come into right here, just open this file. So now we've got both images right here. We can copy this. Want to put it on a new layer, so my mouse is jumping around crazy. I don't know what it's doing. It's a little bit odd. So put that there and then copy one more and put it, no, I can't tell where it is. Okay. Right there. And just save this. Desktop. Oh, we want to save it as a PNG. Just save it right over this one. And then when we come back into GameMaker, we should just be able to import it. That was interesting though, that it wouldn't let me copy paste around. So not sure how I feel about that. Then we can duplicate our start button. Duplicate. And press F2 to rename it. Object quit button. And give it the right text. And on our left press, we just do game end. There we go. And put that in our menu. Resources, quit button, right there. Feels. Oh, I forgot to recolor the second one. So yeah, in our dark version right here. Holy cow, we're getting, press F12 to uncrowd that a little bit. Okay. So we need to copy this color right here so that the text is also not, so that's the darker color. Run the game again. Now I've got a start button, start game, and a quit game. And it'd be really nice to have a fancy background to put here. I don't have one yet, but what have I done? I accidentally colored that. Just undid it though. Let's close out of some of these. I've got so many of these open right now. We can go to Windows, close all as well, so we don't have a bunch of windows open. Kind of clean up the game, save it, run it, and our quit game button works and our start game button works. So we've got a basic menu in. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something and enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure and give it a like and share it. And I will talk to you guys later.